Hi there. Welcome to the End Times Guy podcast. My name is Lee. It's a pleasure to have you with me. On the road today, I left Whitecourt, Alberta. It's about 2 hours north of Edmonton with a load of lumber that is going down to Oregon. And today is a driving day. I'm going to be just driving all day long, trying to get as many miles as I possibly can. I'm so thankful that the Lord has provided me with this job that allows me the freedom to do this podcast free of charge and to not look to you for approval or for money or popularity or anything else, but to look to God to see what would be pleasing to Him, what brings Him glory, what causes people to turn their eyes on Him. It was a bit of an anxious week for me last week. Just learning over the last weekend about ID 2020, the great conspiracy among the nations, among the tech giants, and various global institutions, all conspiring because, as they put it, you and I have the right to a digital identification. Gosh golly, we have a right to the mark of the beast. There is no question whatsoever that this is the mark of the beast. It will hold your driver's license, your care card, your credit cards, your access to your car, your phone, your computer. You won't get on the internet without a digital ID. And it's not going to take them long at all. Once you've received that card, because, hey, it's not a mark under your skin at all. It's just a card. It's only going to be a matter of months before they realize that once you've lost your card, you've lost access to your life. And how do you issue another card that is so, oh my goodness, over the top loaded with everything about you? And what if it falls into the wrong hands? Talk about easy identity theft. So it won't be long at all before they realize that this is not safe in a card form. It's going to have to be implanted where it's safe and secure, where it can't be lost or stolen. And I predict a matter of months before it transitions from card format to implant format. And welcome to the mark of the beast. And then later in the week, I was monitoring the earthquake activity and was just thrown out of my chair when I saw the back-to-back magnitude 5 and higher earthquakes in Indonesia. It just floored me, the activity that's going on there. And it seemed very clearly to be a sign from God, because that level of earthquake activity all in one place just doesn't happen ever. That's freakish. So I'm looking at it clearly as a sign from God that time is short, that we need to be awake, that we need to be doing the work that God has set before each one of us. God has given us all works to do, and we need to be diligently doing those works. And I hope and pray that the Lord is able to work in and through your life, bringing glory and honor to His name and bringing truth to those around you. I need a sip of coffee. My mouth has been really dry today. I guess because it's been cold and I've had the heater on pretty steady. But I want to talk to you about privilege, because as a white male, of course, I'm loaded down with privilege. I have the privilege of peeing when I stand up. I mean, can you say privilege? And I have the privilege of spending the lion's share of my life at work. And although I'm supposed to have the privilege of earning a lot more money than females do in the workplace, I've never had enough to do more than just pay the bills. Up until about 8 months ago, when I started leasing this truck, I'd never earned more than just enough. And this is what our society tells me, is that I have too much privilege and I should feel guilty about it. And I don't know. I don't understand. Well, there are many things about this culture that I don't understand. I don't understand um, why they would teach grade 1 and grade 2 students about anal sex and oral sex and condoms and masturbation, and I don't understand that. I'm horrified by it, as I'm sure you are. I don't understand why they're teaching children today that just because you have a penis, that doesn't make you a little boy. You may be a boy or a girl or something in the middle or something completely different. It's whatever is true for you, whatever you feel. And talk about an unhealthy way to set people up. Don't follow the truth, follow your feelings. Feelings are so fickle. Someone goes through a hard stretch in their life, and their feelings can tell them some really negative and really harmful things. And if you're following that, it could end very badly for you. Feelings are very, very insecure things to follow. There are much better things. Follow the truth, follow facts, follow the teaching of those who have gone before you and have a better understanding of what you're facing. But following your feelings is a disaster, and they're teaching little children this stuff. Men wearing dresses go into libraries to they're not there to just read a story. They are moving into a venue where they have access to children to spread their own perversions. And we've seen some of the horrible things being done in there, twerking and stripping and having children lie on top of them and all kinds of really horrible things. And many of these cross-dressers have been registered sex offenders and violent criminals. I don't understand why parents would bring their children to these places. It doesn't make any sense to me. There are many things I don't understand. And on Facebook, I've been having a back and forth with a couple who are promoting teaching children to pole dance. Young girls, they should know how to pole dance. It's good for them. And I made the comment of saying, well, if there's one thing that hasn't changed in our society, it's the willingness to exploit young women. They always have been exploited for selling products, for drawing attention to our business, for causing people to spend more money. It's just the nature of the beast. We've always exploited young women. How many waitresses out there in these fancy restaurants are dudes? You see a few, but primarily, what are they? Yeah, we have always exploited young women, and it seems to me that isn't changing. Well, I had a couple of different people arguing with me that the pole dancing is no different from any other. Her wording was woman dominate sports. Okay, I'm not sure exactly. I think she meant a woman dominated sport. And a woman dominated sport, I'm imagining, would be gymnastics, where the majority of the competitors are women. I'm not 100% sure on what her point was, but she was trying to say that pole dancing is the same as gymnastics, which is absurd. I would take my daughters to gymnastics, no problems whatsoever. I would watch them perform, no problems whatsoever. But I told her I would no more sit down to watch pole dancing than I would sit down to watch pornography. And of course, there's nothing, they're nothing alike. And another dude chimed in and said that for me to see the young women pole dancing as exploiting them sexually, I must be a pervert, or I must have friends who are perverts if I look at it that way. You see, their reasoning, though they're the ones promoting the exploitation of young women, I'm the pervert. And I concluded that they have eyes, but they do not see, and they have ears, but they do not hear. They walk in darkness, their deeds are evil, but they're completely unaware of it. And now I will speak of real privilege, because I do have a privilege that they don't have. And it is a privilege. I have the privilege of walking in the light. And this privilege was granted to me by Jesus Christ. When I was born again, he gave me the light so that I could see the truth. And by the light, I would be able to walk in righteousness. I would be able to see what evil was and therefore avoid walking in evil. And I'm really thankful for that. It is a privilege that I enjoy very much. So I guess it's helped me to realize that we have real privilege, the privilege to walk in the light. And I'll tell you what, the world around us is getting very dark. It's getting darker every single day. You know, it was 68% of America believed that homosexuality was fine. And within a very short period of time, it became 70-some percent. And the number is growing and growing and growing. And very soon, anyone who does not believe that homosexuality is perfectly normal will be considered hateful. Well, it's already that way now, but they will stand out like a sore thumb. But for those who abide in the light, it hasn't changed whatsoever. Homosexuality is an abomination. It's absolutely evil. And anyone who practices that has no part in the kingdom of heaven. The Bible is very clear about that. No homosexual is going to heaven. And they're going to hell. And when you accept them and their evil deeds, you're allowing them to remain on the broad road that leads to destruction. They are doomed and damned to hell. And anyone who endorses homosexuality says that you're fine, dear. You stay on that road. That's a good road for you. And it's going right to the lake of fire. No one who says such a thing has the truth in them. I am thankful to the Lord that I have been given the light, that I do not have to walk in darkness. It is a privilege. Christians do have privilege. We have grace from God that we need no longer to be enslaved to sin. We have actual supernatural power over sin. Though we in our own flesh have no power, by the grace of God, we can become set free from sin. So when we speak of privilege, there is definitely Christian privilege. And I will speak about that. I will agree with it. I will not be ashamed of it, and I will be thankful for it. If you're a privileged Christian, I almost said privileged Christian. That happens sometimes. If you're a privileged Christian, be thankful that you walk in the light, and that light is the grace of God provided by God to you free of charge for your benefit, for your edification, so that you may be called children of light. How wonderful is that? That as the world around us goes from madness to confusion to worse, you and I remain in the light, seeing very clearly. But remember, the people around us, though they are hostile towards us, though they ridicule and they scoff and they mock and they hurl abuse and insults, it's because of where they're at. They do not have eyes that see. They do not have ears that hear. And we can't tell them the truth because they cannot perceive the truth. But if they receive the light, they will see with their own eyes. So ultimately, the most powerful thing we can do is just share the gospel with them. And not the gospel that you learn in religion, the gospel that we convince them in their flesh that they need to come and join our church, and then we shuffle them off to discipleship training. to teach them how to behave as a Christian, there is no light in that. As Paul says in Romans 1, the gospel is the power of God for salvation, and that's what we're wanting in their lives, a transformation, a supernatural encounter with the divine. And that is what the gospel is. I love the way Paul says it. I preach Christ and him crucified. That's it. A stumbling block to the Jew and foolishness to the Gentile. May that be our gospel. God bless you and strengthen you for today.